12 now at 11. Your news starts now.
Good evening, I'm Amber Worthy. Thanks for joining us for News 12 Now. Chattanooga police are looking for a person they say shot a gas station clerk on Lee Highway Saturday. Police say it happened just before 1 a.m. at a gas station, and the gas station was back open at 9 yesterday morning. Officials say 24-year-old Paul Evans is expected to be okay. The report says the victim was able to tell police that a man armed with a gun entered the store demanding money from the register. That's when the victim says the suspect jumped the counter and shot Evans, then fled the store. If you have any information, you can anonymously report that to Chattanooga Police. And the Whitfield County Sheriff's Office is still looking for a suspect from a shooting from Friday. Officers from the Sheriff's Office say they found a woman who had been shot twice on Prince Way in Dalton. Officials say they are looking for her estranged boyfriend, Bertram Beck, who's pictured on the screen. They believe he forced his way into her home before shooting her, and they say multiple people witnessed this assault. Warrants have been issued for Beck following this for a home invasion and first-degree aggravated assault. If you have any information about Beck's whereabouts, you are urged to call the Sheriff's Office. And a man is in custody after a SWAT standoff in Chattanooga yesterday. We received a call from a viewer around 9 p.m. saying that police were stationed at a nearby church on Hazley Street. Chattanooga SWAT was surrounding a home about 3 blocks away. The suspect is charged with simple assault related to a domestic situation. And the funeral arrangements for Big Ridge Elementary's assistant principal Connie McDade have been announced. The family will receive friends on tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and from 5 to 8 at the East Chapel of Chattanooga's funeral home. A celebration of life service will be held on Tuesday at 10 a.m. at the same place before she is buried at the Lakewood Memorial Gardens East. McDade passed away Friday morning while administrators from across the system gathered by her hospital bed. Her husband is Dr. Lee McDade, who is the assistant superintendent of Hamilton County Schools. Mrs. McDade had been ill for several months, but had worked for Hamilton County Schools since 1996. And secret recordings that are threatening to disrupt the federal fraud trial from former Pilot Flying J executives and sales staffers. The truck stop chain is controlled by the family of Cleveland Browns owner Jimmy Haslam and Tennessee Governor Bill Haslam. The Knoxville News Sentinel reports that the U.S. District Court Judge Curtis Collier said he will allow prosecutors to present recordings of the former Pilot J president Mark Hazelwood using, quote, inflammatory and racial language. Prosecutors and defense attorneys are researching whether the comments were inflammatory enough to warrant separate trials from Hazelwood's co-defendants. The trial resumes January 8th after a month-long recess for the holidays. And the special election in Alabama is 2 days away, and the race is tightening between Republican Roy Moore and Democrat Doug Jones. Moore is still under fire for sexual misconduct allegations, and CBS News correspondent Laura Podesta explains why some Alabama Republicans say they are refusing to vote for him.
Alabama's current senator has announced he does not want Roy Moore joining him on Capitol Hill.
I couldn't vote for Roy Moore. I didn't vote for Roy Moore, but I wrote in a distinguished Republican name.
In an interview Sunday, Senator Richard Shelby said his decision not to support Moore came after the multitude of accusations, particularly the account of a woman who says she was molested by Moore at age 14.
There's a lot of stories there, a lot of smoke, got to be some fire somewhere.
Moore denies he ever acted inappropriately, and President Donald Trump has endorsed the former Alabama judge and recorded this robocall.
Roy is a conservative who helped me steer this country back on track after 8 years of the Obama disaster.
Moore's chief strategist is urging people in Alabama to remember the direction that the country chose just last year.
If the people of Alabama vote for this liberal Democrat, Doug Jones, then they're voting against the president who they put in office at the highest level.
Jones and Moore are currently neck and neck at the polls. Democrats say a Moore win would lead to turmoil in Washington.
If Roy Moore ends up being elected to the Senate, he would face close scrutiny, investigation, even removal from the Senate once he arrives.
On Face the Nation, Illinois Senator Richard Durbin referenced the fall of Senator Al Franken, who resigned this week after accusations of sexual harassment. Laura Podesta, CBS News, New York.
Are making progress on several wildfires burning in Southern California, but a major flare in the largest fire has forced new evacuations in Santa Barbara County. Kenneth Craig has the latest.
Firefighters faced intense flames as the massive Thomas Fire reached the city of Carpinteria in Santa Barbara County. Officials say the fire is now one of the largest in state history.
Yesterday, the Thomas Fire was at number 15. Today, after just an update on the acreage, it moved to number 5.
After almost a week on the lines, firefighters are tiring.
Talking to the firefighters that have been out here since day one, they've said that this has been one of the most trying and taxing fires and incidents that they've ever been on.
With the fire bearing down on Carpinteria, firefighters ordered hundreds of more residents from their homes this morning, many not knowing if their properties will still be standing when they return.
This road divides from mandatory to voluntary.
Kristen and Carter Hampton live just outside the mandatory evacuation area. And what has it been like to watch this?
Apocalyptic, that's a good word.
It's a big fire, it's scary.
Across Southern California, wind-fueled wildfires have devoured nearly 800 homes and other structures. More than 200,000 people have been evacuated, and with the Thomas Fire still growing, more evacuations are almost certain. Kenneth Craig, CBS News, Carpinteria, California.
And a family in Columbia, Tennessee has some safety tips for you as many of you are finishing up hanging your Christmas lights this holiday season after a fire at their home.
When we started throwing water on it, it started sparking up, and then I knew it was the electrical cord.
We kept them on pretty much all the time, really. And we just didn't think that anything would happen because it's just one strand. You hear all these fire safety tips and they say, don't overload an outlet, unplug your lights at night, and remember to change your batteries and your smoke detector.
Once a year.
That family says the fire caught fire on some shrubs in front of their home and continued up their yard, ultimately catching their house on fire. So like they said, don't leave them on all night, and also make sure that your fire extinguishers are up to date. Make sure your surge protectors and power sources can support the lights you select, and also make sure that your smoke detectors are functioning, of course. And no snowfall records were broken this week, but National Weather Service says that the heavy snowstorm that hit Georgia late last week was a surprise. They say heavy snowfall amounts can occur in December, but the Weather Service typically doesn't see storms of high magnitude until January or early February. This is video from Dalton on Friday. In Alabama, meteorologist Jason Holmes says the state says snow hit the ground was still on the ground on Sunday, but temperatures were currently above freezing. Low temps are still to come, and they may impact your ride to work or school. For some areas, the snow is still melting during the day, then freezing on the roads at night, and transportation officials will provide updates if there are any major road closures. The Public Health Department in Fanning and Gilbert counties will delay their opening at 10 a.m. tomorrow. This was made due to the residual ice on the roads affecting road conditions. Copper Basin schools will be on a 2-hour delay after being forced to close Friday because of road conditions. And according to the Grundy County Herald, all schools will be closed tomorrow, and that's due to their mechanical issues with the high school's heating units. The Big 8 games will still go on as scheduled. We will be sure to update you on any road closures, delays, or school closures on social media platforms, as well as our website, WDEF.com.
Now, from the EPB Fiber Optics Weather Center, tomorrow's Storm Team 12 forecast.
No snow in sight from our CHI Memorial camera out at Lee Point on the EPB